you already covered. He's got a lot of people in the bass world covered with their boat insurance, and he is the one to talk to about this. Because again, if you're covered by State Farm, you're covered by American Family, you're covered by many different insurance companies, and you think that now that you're doing this as a business, that insurance is still valid and you'll be covered with when you have a claim, you're mistaken. So Bob, with that, go ahead and share some of your insight with our members.
Well, first off, Pat, thanks, man. You do an unbelievable job organizing this, and I really appreciate everybody here. Most of you I do have insured, which is fortunate for me. But what I really try to do with my clients is educate them. You go to Farm Bureau or Allstate, and them agents are wonderful. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they do home and auto, and that's primarily what they do. And we have thousands of dollars worth of fishing equipment and thousands of dollars worth of machinery and everything else. And it's important to understand the kind of coverages that you have. And prior to me coming here, I went to Walleye Central and Bass Boat Central, a lot of different places, and I've tried to educate guys over the years on just exactly what they need. And fortunately, most of you have listened. But the issue here, and Pat and I have talked about this, is there's other things involved besides just agreed value on your hull coverage or actual cash value on your hull coverage. It's a lot of other things. And I went through something as a co-angler in a tournament where I was actually physically injured to the point where I had to have surgery. Now, fortunately, there's no way or shape or form that I would ever sue anybody over something like that, because I understand, I understand what I'm getting myself into. But there's so many things out there that change when you fish. Your insurance company could say, you made $10,000 last year fishing, okay? That's primarily your income. You no longer have insurance with us. I mean, these are legitimate issues. And what I tell people every day is it's really this simple. If you bought a $100,000 classic car at the Bear-Jackson auction, are you going to call somebody who sells life insurance to insure it? You wouldn't dream to do that, because there's companies like Haggerty and Grundy that specialize in classic car insurance. Same way with aviation. Whether it's me or somebody else, get with a marine specialty agent and make sure you understand all the coverages that you have. One of the things on the Ohio Game and Fish site is a lot of guys buy Boat US's towing and emergency service. They pay around $100 to join Boat US and to have their towing and emergency service. And in most cases, it's a total waste of money, because if you have proper insurance already, like Jim and Tony, they know that it's already incorporated in there. And with us, it costs about $20 a year instead of $100. So when you go to a specialty agent, you're going to get special coverages. We talk about tackle, we talk about rods and reels, we talk about electronics, we talk about everything affiliated with it, and it's all documented. And once it's documented, if you have a theft claim, it's really pretty simple. One of the things that Pat wanted me to talk about is a lot of you guys are branching off into other businesses. Tony does tackle and that kind of stuff, and this was brought up a few years ago. Tony had a few $1,000s worth of tackle that he had in his garage, and he assumed that was going to be picked up by his homeowner's carrier. Well, that tackle was actually owned by his business, and your homeowner's policy's not going to pay for business property. So you need to understand what you have. And again, go to a specialty agent. I mean, fortunately, I've been a guest speaker here for a long time, and I love to fish just like all of you. So most of the guys that are here, I've probably talked to and educated, so I'm not going to talk for half an hour on all the different kinds of coverages. But you really need to understand what you have, because the tackle that you have for your business is not something that's going to be covered by me, and it's certainly not going to be covered by your homeowners. If it's in your boat and I have you insured, that's a different story. So anybody have any questions at all? Go ahead.
Standard liability limits for Guy in Minnesota, anywhere in the Midwest. What are the recommended liability limits at this point?
That's a great question. And
why don't you repeat it so we can?
Yeah. What he's asking me is liability requirements for guiding. I don't write small limits of liability. I mean, anybody in this room has a $2,000 out-of-pocket loss, not going to change your life at all. You have a $200,000 out-of-pocket loss, it's going to change your life forever. Liability is the most important part of any policy that you have. These people that are running around with 20, 40, 60 limits on their automobile insurance they're hanging themselves out to dry, because if you injure somebody, you're going to get sued, okay? And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 30 years. If you injure somebody, I don't care if it's your best friend in the whole world, you're going to get sued. Ironically enough, liability is the least expensive part of any insurance policy that you own, whether it's your home, whether it's your auto, because it's the least frequent. You know, you're going to hit a submerged object or have your fishing equipment stolen long before you're ever going to have a liability claim. But when you have a liability claim, you want to make sure that you have proper coverages. So what I recommend with guides is we write minimum liability limits of a 500,000 combined single limits, because there's more than one person in your boat as a rule. With normal property and casualty people, $300,000 in liability is usually enough. If you feel that you need more than $300,000 in liability, you need to look into a personal liability umbrella. You know, go to a property and casualty agent, and that way what you have, like myself, I have a $2 million umbrella that extends over everything that I own. And my insurance company requires me, I carry $300,000 in liability on my truck, $300,000 on my boat. My son's 22 years old, so I have to carry $500,000 in liability on his car, but my umbrella extends over everything that I own. Keep in mind, that liability umbrella is a personal liability umbrella. It doesn't have anything to do with your business entity. So, any other questions? Go ahead, Teresa.
Bob, when I talked to you at the beginning of this year, one of the things that I think is really important to tell people, I had talked to my insurance company, which I won't mention, and I was insured by them for 2 years. I'm a guide in my tournament fisherman, and you're the one that told me to make sure that I was getting the right coverage, and I wasn't. I was basically not covered, and I would have had nothing if something would happen to me. So they tell you that you're covered. You have to dig into that to find out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you have to understand is agents have limitations. You know, if you called me tomorrow and said, Bobby, I got a 57 Thunderbird, what should I do? And I'm going to say, Teresa, call somebody who sells classic car insurance, because I don't have a clue. And that's the problem. When you go to a property and casualty agent, okay, most of them are selling home, they're selling auto, they're selling umbrellas, they're selling life insurance, they're selling all of these other aspects of insurance. And unless you eat, sleep, and breathe fishing like we do, you really don't understand what we need. And it's really that simple. If you're guiding and you think that your insurance with Farm Bureau or Allstate is going to cover you, you're wrong. It's not. That's a commercial exposure. Them are property and casualty policies that they will not cover a commercial exposure. And the thing that's kind of odd is that when I first started working with Pat and Walleye Central and all these other websites, I think people really had the impression that when they go to a specialty agent, it's going to cost a lot more money, and it really doesn't, because we have companies that understand exactly what we do. You know, everybody here, where's your boat now? It's in a garage. Where's it going to be between now and May? In a garage. And most of us have been accused of treating our boats better than our wives. So, you know, we have situations where our companies understand that our exposure is minimal. I mean, it really is minimal, and that's the thing. When you go to a specialty company, you know, I've helped American Modern Home develop their watercraft product. I was instrumental with Progressive to help them develop their watercraft product, and I have all the electronics and all the stuff in my garage that everybody else here has, and that's the thing. I discuss that with every single one of my clients. And you know, Tony had an unfortunate incident a couple of years ago with a total loss, and he was insured properly, to the point where I guarantee you he'll never let anybody insure his boat again but me. Robert Cardenas had his boat stolen at Oconto. It was unfortunate, but he was insured correctly, and it really was very, very, very easy. Again, I don't think Robert Cardenas would even get a quote from anybody but me. So, you know, I just try to do it the right way every time. And the biggest thing is, I'm just like you. I eat, sleep, and breathe. You know, it's what I love to do. So, any more questions? Go ahead.
Talk about our fishing tackle, whether it's in our boat or whether we got it in the garage. about our electronics that's in the boat.
Awesome.
Now it's sitting in my basement.
Yep, it's awesome. While your fishing tackle is in your boat, as long as your policy reflects the value of the tackle. In other words, most of my guys have $5,000 to $10,000 worth of fishing tackle. And keep in mind, with most policies, and this is where a lot of people get confused, anything mounted to or affixed to your boat is not fishing tackle. That's considered, in most cases, part of the hull and equipment. So your kicker motor, your Tarova, your Lowrance, even though they're on quick releases or they're easily taken off, they're still considered part of the hull and equipment. What I do with my clients, and I have this discussion with every single one of them, I want you to take digital photographs of everything. Your Vantage, your kicker, your Tarova, your 4-bank charger, all your electronics, and email them to my office. Once you do that, they go into the computer. There's no way, shape, or form they're going anywhere. And if you ever have a theft claim, it's a real simple process. Another thing that you really need to do, and I'm telling you, I have this conversation with 100% of my clients. 90% of them send me photographs. 10% of them don't. The 10% that don't get ripped off every single solitary time. It's inevitable. Open up a crankbait box. Write down on a piece of paper. I got 2800 series reef runners worth $8 a piece. Set that piece of paper on that tackle box and take a photograph of it. It's real simple. It's the same way with your rods and reels. Once you do it once, every couple of years, call me. We'll discuss your upcoming renewal. Have you added electronics? Have you added anything? You know, a lot of people think that, well, my boat's worth $5,000 less now than it was 2 years ago. Well, you know this is not a sport, which Pat has said a number of times. It's a sickness, you know. And the bottom line is 2 years from now, we're probably going to have $5,000 or $10,000 more stuff on our boat than we did 2 years before that. So it's important for us to discuss that. And once we discuss it, it's documented. It's just real simple.
Really important to the question that he just asked.
Mm-hmm.
If the product is in his home,
Yep. If it's in your home, it's
and
going
or
to
in
be
his
covered.
hotel room,
Right.
it's going to be covered by a separate business policy that someone has to write.
Yeah, what we're doing, and Pat and I have been discussing this for about a year. I have went to a number of my companies, and what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get a commercial general liability policy that we can issue to NPAA members with a discount. And I thought I had this done. It's not quite done yet, but it will be done. And what we're trying to do is incorporate the physical damages, you know, the hull and equipment coverage, so your boat, your tackle, your business tackle, everything would be covered under one policy. The hard part about that is that most of the commercial general liability policies that are out there write actual cash value policies on boats, okay? And how an ACV contract works is very similar to your truck. You buy a new truck today for $40,000, and you know as well as I do, if you total that truck out a year from now, you're going to be lucky to see 30. That's how an ACV contract works, okay? And the thing that you have to understand is in all 50 states, automobile insurance for newly acquired auto, not classic cars, but it's all the same. It's all ACV coverage, just like homeowners. Every single homeowner's policy is reflected into the replacement cost of that square footage of that home. They're unilaterally the same in all 50 states. That is not the case with boats. That's not the case with RVs. That's not the case with motorhomes. It's not the case with aviation. There's specialty policies out there that are specifically designed for what we need. If I had Tony Pujo's boat insured for $70,000 and he had a total loss, ask Tony what he got. He got a check for $70,000 and he went and bought another boat. It was really that simple. When I went to Walleye Central the first time, okay, there was a guy on Walleye Central that had a 2.5-year-old Ranger. He was on his way home from a fishing tournament. A lady ran a red light. Yes, Teresa, it was a lady, and I'm not lying. She ran a red light. His boat was totaled, and his insurance company wrote him a check for $10,000 less than he owed on the boat. Now, did his insurance company rip him off? No. His insurance company paid him exactly what they were supposed to pay him, predicated on the contract that he had. And that's what you have to understand. An insurance policy is a contract. It's a contract between you and the insurance company. And if you don't understand the contract, that's not your insurance company's fault. And when you go to a standard property and casualty agent, most of the time, And I'd bet anybody in here $100. If you went up to your insurance agent's office and you talked to a customer service representative, she wouldn't know an HDS 10 from a blow dryer. And that's the person that's gonna physically sit down and design your coverages. And that's the problem. It's like I said before, you know, if you came up to me tomorrow and said, hey, I got this classic car, I'm gonna tell you to call Haggerty or Grundy, because that's not what I do. Anything else?
Phone number. Telephone number.
It's 800-339-1235. I'm on, you know, if you go to Walleye Central and click on insurance, that's my insurance form.
Our website.
Yeah,
There's a link
NPAA's
on our
website, you know, anywhere. Steve's website. You know, I basically educate my clients. And I guarantee if you call me, you're gonna learn more about marine insurance in 10 minutes than you've ever learned before, because I want you to understand how all the coverages work. And again, man, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Again,